Alright, hello everyone and welcome back to our Mechbay highlight series. Now, I've recently started another campaign running with Derby Lance in BTA 3062, and so I thought it'd be interesting to take a look at Urbanmechs in the Skirmish Mechbay, which gives access to all of BTA 32's equipment, including the community content, and just talk through a little bit how to make this a reasonable thing to start with, something that maybe is a little bit better optimized than the standard UMR90, although even with the UMR90 we can all thank our lucky stars that we're not running a UMR60 or R60X, which, two of mine happen to be. So the first thing that I'm sure none of you will be surprised to hear is we need to get our armor up to full, and the way that I usually do that is pull off these jump jets and max that armor. We do have almost half a ton remaining, and we can get that up to a standard ton by dropping 1 point of armor off the rear CT and ripping off the small laser. But we're not going to start there. See, in my opinion, one of the adorable trashcan UMR90's main problems is that it's so titanically slow. If you take a look at our movement here, with a core 100 we move at 3, 5, so 3 on the move, 5 on the sprint, and it's just not enough maneuverability. The Urbanmech has admirable armor for its tonnage, that's for sure. That doesn't matter if you're getting hit every time, because you only can manage 1 to 2 evasion pips without pilot perks. So what we need to do is we need to put in a larger engine, and this sort of starts you down an interesting path, because one of the things that you don't want is an XL engine on something likely to die, and, well, Urbanmechs are likely to die. But I think that here it's worth it. Now, if you can get a Clan XL engine, which I would recommend you try and go for, but that can be very difficult in the early game, so much the better. But a standard XL engine can be bought at most stores, even in the early game. Well, maybe not most, but certainly a fair number. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw a core 140 in there. And the reason I picked the core 140 is that allows you to move at 5 on the move, 8 on the sprint. So we're moving as far as we were able to sprint with the previous engine, and sprinting far past it. This will allow you to get 5 to 6 evasion pips depending on terrain, and push that even higher with pilot perks. So, for example, I almost always take the pilot perk that gives you a +1, so long as you're moving, to your evasion. I mean, it's a -2 to getting hit, and that's pretty spectacular. The next thing that we need to look at, and we do need to solve our weight problem, but we'll get there, trust me, we'll get there, is what to do with this PPC. Now, I don't like PPCs in the early game. I think that they don't deal enough damage for the amount of tonnage and heat and all of that they consume, and while the PPC scrambling for -2 when you land a hit is nice, you still have to land the hit in the first place. And it's not going to help you all that much to get that -2 if you can't maintain that fire. So we're going to just rip that out, and I'm going to suggest probably a controversial choice here, and that's the binary laser. The reason why, there are undoubtedly better things in the BTA 3062 Bay, and yeah, there are much better weapons, but the binary laser is surprisingly common in early faction stores, well, not faction stores, in early stores from my experience, limited though it may be. And the benefits of the binary laser, yes, it does require 10 more heat, so we go up from 25 to 35, but our damage goes up from 55 to 70, and we get a +2 bonus to accuracy and 20% critical chance. So this is the same as ignoring an evasion pip, or if your opponent has no evasion pips, just standard +2. And that's a pretty good bonus. I mean, a lot of heavier mechs, or a lot of mechs that are close to you and trying to fire, will only move a small distance, so you'll only have, 0 to 2 sort of evasion pips to deal with. Having this cancels 1 out. That's wonderful. And that easier to land hit will also then deal more damage. So a couple things. Our heat sinking is fine. We're heat sinking 52, we're alpha striking for 55, that's okay, but we're 2 tons overweight. So what I'm going to recommend, moving the medium laser to the left arm. This gives an accuracy bonus, I believe. Well, no, actually we don't have the actuators here for it, so no benefit there. But then the next thing we can do, rip off one of the medium lasers, rip off one of the heat sinks, and unfortunately, we're going to have to lose that remaining bit of weight through armor. Now what we're doing is we're heat sinking 48, alpha striking for 45, and we've lost a lot of guns. We've lost a medium laser, we've lost a small laser. those two, when put together, the medium laser gives 20, the small laser gives, I believe, either 10 or 15, actually exceeds, well, no, it nearly matches or exceeds the damage benefit that we're getting from the binary laser, but it doesn't offset the accuracy bonus. So there are two trains of thought on this. The first is take as many shots as you can with minimal accuracy and you'll land some hits. This is the LRM 20 style of thinking where you're gonna shoot with 20 of them and you're gonna land maybe 2, and that's fine, it's chip damage. The other is make sure when you hit it so devastating that you actually get some solid benefit from it, and that's sort of the binary laser school of thought. But really, that's not enough to encompass what we just did here either. We ripped off a small laser, and if we go over and take a look, standard small laser has incredibly short range. I mean, granted, it's not as bad as a clan small laser, but the maximum range in this thing is 120 meters. That's not where we want to be. Yes, it avoids 3 evasion pips. Yes, it has +1 accuracy, but this mech is not really going to be a great ambusher in that sense. You know what I mean? We're not going to be running up all the time directly behind somebody unless we know we can end it then, because it's still a light mech. You get kicked, you're gonna fall over. You get, somebody's gonna DFA you, particularly with the way that the AI has been trending in BTA 3062. You're gonna get your evasion lost and then absolutely pounded. And so what you want to do with this mech is you want to use that 8 mobility here to get a good far position to the side or rear of your opponent. You don't want to be directly behind them, and that means you're not going to be in range for that small laser's 15 damage. So in a mid-range sort of situation, this actually improves our firepower despite losing that medium laser and the small. Now, other upgrades that we could talk about, it's pretty obvious to say that we have more than enough space to put in some sort of ferrofibrous armor, and there is an obvious benefit to this. Let's just take the standard one, not the clan. 0.75 tons remaining means that we can go back to maximum armor, but getting ferro, I think, is really just the icing on the cake for this sort of thing. Without it, I think we're still usable as shown, and evidence to that is that I have been using this build in the Urby Derby campaign currently and doing fine. So really no great loss there. Now, other upgrades, you of course want a Clan XL in here eventually. You want Clan Ferro, or actually I would even recommend Heavy Ferro for this, or Ultra Ferro if you can find it, because we have the slots to reserve. You may as well get the extra tonnage out. I mean, it's almost another additional whole ton here. We can put in a medium laser with that by dropping our rear armor a single pip, right? Now we've brought our firepower back up, and that's pretty nice. So that's really all I've got to say for today. If you're later along in your campaign, of course, you won't want to touch this with 10-foot pole. But if you're, if you're early on and you get some bad luck with your starting lance and you don't want to just re-roll for it, or if you make the decision to go into Urby Derby campaign start, which has been actually surprisingly fun, I do have to say, maybe this will help you out. Alright, that's all we've got for right now. Thank you all for hanging around, and we'll see you again real soon.